So I have just sat down to record a podcast episode and have realised that I am bright red and everything looks orange. And the sound in this room is not great. It's a very large room with very high ceilings. And so I have carted all this stuff out and made a big old mess, and I'm not going to be able to record tonight. I'm a muppet. Ah well, so it goes. At least the fire is nice and warm. It's a good spot to sit in there. Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Milk Thistle podcast. My name is Kate and this is a podcast about knitting. Now if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for your patience and thank you for coming back. I know it's been a while since I recorded my last episode. And if you are a new viewer and this is your first time to my channel, thank you so much for coming to check me out. I hope you enjoy what I've got to chat to you about today. Like I just said, it's been quite a while since I have put a podcast out into the world, and for that I apologize if you have been waiting, but thank you so much for your patience. Because of that, I'm not really sure what I've shown you and what I haven't. I mean, some things I know are 100% new, but can't really remember where I was up to last time, so bear with me. And if you have any questions about anything that I speak about today, or if I forgot to show you a project that you're interested in seeing how it went, please let me know either by leaving a comment below, or I am contactable on Instagram or Ravelry. All the links can be found in the down bar below, so yeah, if you have any questions, that's the best place to pop them and I will answer them or talk about it in my next podcast. Alright, so perhaps we should talk about some knitting, considering that's why we're here, right? So firstly, I would like to share some exciting news with you. I have officially published my BUTTERBEER sock pattern. So I designed this pattern earlier in the year, but I wanted to make sure everything was perfect, and it is now up on Ravelry and it is also available in my Etsy store. So the links for that are below if you're interested in checking it out. I have the finished socks here, but I also have some photos I took which I will insert now to give you a better look of the pattern. While I'm showing you those, I will chat a little bit about the pattern. It is knit cuff down, and there is a 1x1 rib, then a heel flap and gusset, and that is the basic construction of the sock. There are two different toes, two toe options included in the pattern, and it is just a really beautiful and simple skip stitch pattern that runs in a panel down the front. So it is ideal for a beginner sock knitter, or if you've only knit a vanilla sock before and you're looking for something slightly more adventurous but don't want to go too far out of your comfort zone. It is an easy pattern to memorize and get in the rhythm of. So I hope you like it, and if you would like to knit a pair, I would love to see them. Like I said, the pattern is available on Ravelry and also on Etsy. So the knitting content today will be some things that I have finished, some things I am working on, one thing that I am dying to cast on, and I also wanted to talk to you about a pattern that I have designed. So let's start with the things that I've finished. This was very close to being done last time I spoke to you. This is my Trevor pullover, which was designed by Locatelli. Now, it is a large tunic style pullover that I'm probably not going to be able to show you perfectly, so I will put some video or photos in of the entire garment. But I did want to speak about what I did. So if you remember, I think last time I was telling you that I was running a little low on the main color, and these cuffs are actually meant to be about twice this size, but I decided not to make them that long because I had run out of wool and I didn't want to use the contrasting color as the cuff. Now, someone said to me, why didn't I pull apart my swatch and use the wool from my swatch to add length to my cuffs? The reason I didn't do that was because I actually had two dye lots of this color. Sorry, this is Brooklyn Tweed Loft. This is the Faded Quilt. No, Faded Quilt is this color. So as you can see, I've got a whole skein of this one left over. I have like a tiny wee little bit of this neutral color left over, and it is called, I don't know, I've got stuff hanging around here. Thistle. Okay, so Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is their fingering weight, in Thistle and Faded Quilt. Now, I had two different dye lots of the Thistle, and the first batch of my dye lots got me to just above, I don't know if you can see, there's a very slight change. I alternated for a little while in here, and then it gets quite darker at the bottom. But the lovely sunlight that's coming through my window is just showing it off as perfect, which is what I was going for. But the reason I didn't want to put my swatch in the end of my cuff was because it is the lighter color from the beginning, and I didn't want to have lighter cuffs basically. And I don't mind the way it looks. I've worn this quite a few times and I love it. It's so cozy. It's exactly what I wanted. It has quite a bit of positive ease to it, and it's just a really, really comfortable, warm jumper. Now, when I finished knitting this jumper and before I blocked it, it was quite wide and not long, which was kind of the opposite of what I wanted. So I did some creative blocking, and I let the pullover dry on a coat hanger, which I know, you know, dry your knitwear flat, but I wanted the weight of the garment to pull down, and rather than pinning it out, I let gravity do that for me. However, I didn't want the shoulders, the stitches over the shoulders to become really loose and open, so I tied elastic under the armpit area of my jumper and over the top of the coat hanger that it was hanging on, and then I also supported the weight of the sleeves, so they kind of made a little scarecrow out of my pullover. And so when it dried, the body dropped, but the shoulders stayed in place, and the arms didn't stretch out either. So I was really happy with the result, and it blocked out perfectly exactly how I wanted it to be. So I'm really, really happy with this finished project. It was a lot of knitting, especially because I pulled back no, I started another pattern with this wool, and then decided that I wanted to knit a different pattern. That is why I ran out of the fossil colour, because I had enough to make the other jumper, which was just a regular length, not a tunic style. So yeah, this is my Trevor. Beautiful stripes. Sorry, she's a bit creased. Or he. Trevor's a boy's name. But yeah, as you can kind of see it here, that the bottom of this sleeve is quite a bit darker than this portion here. Either way, I love it, and it's been getting a lot of wear because I don't know if I mentioned, but I live in New Zealand at the moment, and it is winter here, which means it is nice and chilly, but it's beautiful, and it's been snowing a lot here the last week or so, so the skiing has been fantastic. Okay, what else have I finished? The other bigger item I finished is a shawl. Now this is my Thalia Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I have worn this quite a bit since I blocked it. But it's got these great tassels, which I really like. So this I knit out of Quince & Co. This colour is called Ordwin, and the brown I think is called Caspian. Yeah, it's called Caspian. So I actually used the exact, this is the pattern here, I actually used the exact same wool as Andrea did in her original. I didn't do it on purpose. I had a whole bunch of Ordwin left over. I've told the story before of how I ended up with, like, I don't know, 18 skeins of this. So I'm almost done. I think I've got one left somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I think I'm down to my last skein, which is very exciting because this is the third project now that I have knit out of this. I knit a baby romper, I knit a jumper for myself, and now I have knit a beautiful shawl. So this pattern is gorgeous. I must admit, by the time I got to the end of the chevron section, I did not want to do any more, but that's okay. So in the chevron section, I don't know if you can see, but there's some really lovely texture that goes through in the alternating spaces. And then this gorgeous twisted stockinette. And then the lovely contrast binding. And tassels! But I love that the colours of the shawl are so neutral, and it's the textures that really make it. I'm very, very happy with it. And I wear a lot of black and white, and so neutrals are kind of a big part of my wardrobe. Obviously sometimes you like a pop of colour. Wait till you see the hat I made. But I do really like to wear neutrals. The other thing, when I was making the shawl, I had no problems with it. The pattern is written so well, and there are stitch counts at the end of every section, so you can stay on track. Okay, what else have I finished? My bucket of goodies. Sorry, I've got a bucket over here next to me. Okay, I think socks are what I finished. Oh no, I finished a little baby blanket. So this is crocheted. And so I did a corner to corner crochet, and I just put this dark contrast stripe and then around the edge. Now this is a super small blanket, because I don't know if any of you know, I think it's in Finland, they have this service, I guess, that pregnant women, if they sign up to the public healthcare scheme, once they have their baby, they get given these boxes that can double as a crib and have everything you need for a newborn. So even in lower income families, they have everything they need to care for their baby when they first get it home. Some of the local women here have started doing a similar thing for every baby born in the Queenstown Hospital, which I thought was really sweet. So I offered my services and they said they needed some baby blankets because they put a hand knit baby blanket and bonnet and booties in every one of these boxes. So I offered my services, and this was the little blanket that I have made. I don't know what the wool was. People who aren't able to donate their time donate wool, and then people who are able to donate their time get given that wool and give it back as the finished project. So yeah, that's another thing that I have finished. That was a super quick project, like tiny little baby blanket, but I hope it keeps someone's new one very warm and happy. So now I think we're on to socks, if I can find them all. I have 1 pair, 2 pair. Okay, I finished more than this, but there's a chance that I didn't put them in here because my toes got cold and I had to take them out and do my laundry and wash them. So I have made a couple of pairs of socks. I know I have the ball here for one of the pairs that I didn't make, which this is a Zauberball, and I really like these socks. I wear them a lot actually because they're such a dark color. I'm not worried about putting them in boots or anything like that. And Zauberballs are, I've got another one here that I've just purchased. Isn't it fun? These ones will not be going in boots. So yeah, they're 75% wool, 25% nylon. And they kind of feel in the kind of opal regia family. That's texturally how they feel. And this is a sock that I finished that I can't show you. Sorry. I'm great at podcasting. Okay, the other things I made. Do I have a sock blocker? I do have a sock blocker. So I made these for my mum, and they are in wool that I dyed myself, and I made up the pattern down the front of them. So it's just slip stitches and moss stitch in between, which I think came out looking really cool. That pink is looking super red. It's actually like a hot pink and fuchsia-ish colors, but I don't know what's going on with the light. And I made another one for Mum. This one has a different pattern down the front. She doesn't care. I was just experimenting with, you know, slip stitches and different textures, and I just wanted to play. I did, however, check out this heel. Isn't it adorable? So when I turned him, he's just got the tiniest little rainbow in there. But yeah, so these are for my mommy, which, doesn't this look great? Just over the arch. Oh, I love them. Okay, so my mom is coming to visit me in like 4 or 5 days. I'm so excited. And so these will keep her toes nice and warm when she gets here. Now the other pair of socks that I have finished, which actually I posted them on Instagram and my mum commented, "For me?" So these are for my mum as well. If they fit her. Her feet are a little smaller than mine, but I don't know how I did it. My vanilla socks, actually, all my socks, unless I was putting cables in them, for my mum and I knit on 2mm needles. I always knit magic loop. It's my preference. And I cast on 58 stitches. There are 54 stitches in these little ones. I don't know how I did it. They're so cute though. Aren't they beautiful? So this wool is a club colorway from earlier this year by the Cozy Knitter. I didn't put like a spoiler alert or anything because I know that everybody's got it. This wool went from Canada to Australia and then waited there for me for like a month or two before I went home and picked it up, and now it's in New Zealand. So I really doubt that I am ruining this for anyone. I don't know if I have a ball band in here. Oh, maybe. It's like a bucket of tricks next to me. Heartbreaker is what this color is called. And so this is what I have left of the little ball. And it's so funny, this one's so dense and this one's so squishy. Yeah, the little cake of the contrasting color I used for the heels and toes. Now, these socks are my first ever true Afterthought heel socks. I didn't use a pattern. I watched a video on YouTube by, it's the KirbyWirby Afterthought heel. I'll put a link. And I just gave it a go. And I really like how they turn out. Now, foot length wise, perfect. They're just a little more stretched than I like over my foot. But, I mean, socks stretch out like crazy anyway. So you never know, these may end up being perfect after a couple of wears, even though they are teeny tiny in terms of stitch count. So let's put this teeny tiny sock on this sock blocker, which is kind of too big for it, but that's okay. See, I have one sock blocker with me. I didn't even bring the pair. I had so much stuff to fit in my suitcase, and yeah, I brought one sock blocker. I actually have 2 sets of sock blockers, one large set, one small set. Caleb's feet, my feet. So yeah, aren't these gorgeous? They don't really fit on this blocker, but the colors are divine. And I did a 2x2 twisted rib, and they were knit cuff down. Now I've been knitting with Christina of the Cozy Knitter, her wool for almost a year, and I have to tell you, it is amazing. The quality of her dyeing and her color changes, even if it's between a super dark and super light, or super vibrant and much milder color, her color changes are phenomenal. Like, okay, can you see this? Here, where it goes from dark gray to light gray. You can literally see one stitch is light gray, the next stitch is dark gray. Like, she's so talented, and just, I really admire her dedication to quality. So these little babies are my first Afterthought heel socks, and they will be going to my mum as well. Mum's gonna get spoilt rotten when she arrives. I'm very excited to see her. Tea. I'm drinking tea with milk today. And I accidentally put way too much milk in it, but whatever. It's tea. And necessary for life. This, I don't know if I've actually shown you this before. This is actually my travel mug. So it's just a mason jar. And then this lid Caleb bought for me. So the brand is EcoJarz. And this piece here, you just clip in where the seal top normally is, and so you can use a mason jar of any size so long as it has the mouth diameter that matches. Caleb actually has the neck size up, so he can use the larger ones, but they're really great, easy to throw in your bag, and you have a to-go cup that can easily be sterilized. I have a problem with to-go cups. I like glass and ceramic for all beverages. But these I really like because it always tastes clean, because, you know, they're mason jars. They're designed to be sterilized and used for jams and preserves and things like that. So it always tastes like tea. Okay, sorry. After that rambling tangent, where am I up to? Can I see my hat? See what I mean about I don't always wear neutrals? So when I went back to Australia, my local yarn store there, which is Knitting for the Soul, run by a lady called Terry, who is lovely, and she has a website, so go check her out. She was having a sale on Wool and the Gang Crazy Sexy Wool, and so I bought 2 balls. Oh, how great. Here is the ball band, and Mint Magic is the color of the pom, and I don't know if I've still got I do have the other one. It's like a little box of ball bands down there. Oh, and Hot Punk Pink is the other color. So my hat is this one, pink with the mint pom-pom. Caleb's is mint with the pink pom-pom, and we look ridiculous and awesome when we wear them together. And I love them. It's so fuzzy and so oversized and warm. Now, I have pom-pom makers. They're not right here. I'm not actually sure where they're in a drawer over there. And I have multiple sizes. This is the large size. There is also an extra large size. I went for the large pom-pom because I felt it was ridiculous enough. Caleb went for the extra large. I'll see if I can get a picture of the two of us in our hats, and if I can, it will appear. If not, imagine this reversed with a pom-pom, not twice the size, but giant. Yeah, and this is the leftover wool. This wool is so soft and beautiful and like crazy bulky. Right. I think those are all the things I've finished. Would you like to see something that I'm almost finished? It's in my Jezebel Bee bag, which I got for my birthday, which I adore. Thank you, Mom and Dad. So this is also a cozy knitter sock. The color is A New Day, and this is the first sock. Isn't it awesome? So he has a toe, and this is the second sock. 2x2 cuff, 58 stitches down to a toe, which literally just needs to be kitchened. That's it. But I was knitting in bed this morning and my darning needle was in the living room and I didn't want to get up. So these are going to be my second pair of Afterthought heel socks. So they don't have a heel in them yet, but it will be in this purple colorway. Isn't this just gorgeous? I'm really sorry if you can hear banging. I may have to pause for a little while because there seem to be quite a few people upstairs. Caleb and I have moved into the caretaker's apartment of the Wakatipu Ski Club Lodge. So we are living at the base area of one of the ski hills here. So it's literally a 3-minute walk to the lift, which is perfect. It's also really great for Caleb because he works midnight to midday snowmaking shifts. So he gets heaps more sleep than if he had to commute up the hill. But because of that, directly above us is the main common room area, and people in ski boots are really loud. It sounds like elephants, especially it's the school holidays at the moment. So at lunchtime, all the children come in and they run around in their ski boots, and it actually sounds like a stampede. So they seem to have sat down, so I'll keep going for a little while, but if it gets too bad, I'll pause and I'll come back. But yeah, those are my current sock whip project. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to send these to a friend of mine who I think could use some cheering up and some reminding that there is always a new day. And she is an awesome human, so I hope she likes them. Now, what have I cast on? I learned how to brioche. Okay, so I'll show you my first project that I learned how to brioche on. It is a headband to be. Yep, 2-color brioche. And I am doing this in Debbie Bliss Donegal Luxury Tweed Aran in color 360049, which I love. I love this color. And then the other is Baby Cashmerino in their just off-white color. So these are different weight wools, but I've seen brioche done a number of times in 2 different weights, actually more drastically different than this. This is almost a sport. It's kind of halfway between a fingering and a sport. No, it's called a sport. Sport weight, Aran weight. So I have seen it 2-color brioche done in more drastic of a yarn weight difference, and I liked the way it came out, so I bought this ball because I've been obsessed with this color and I just needed to do something with it. But I had this little bit left over from some baby booties that I made for my mum and dad's old next door neighbor who had a little baby girl while I was back in Australia. And so I made her some little baby booties. Okay, hopefully they've sat down and they're gonna, we'll see. So yeah. The tweed on this side and the Cashmerino on this side. It's quite a loose gauge. So these are Addy 3.75 millimeter US size 5 needles that I'm knitting it on. And yeah, it's giving quite a loose fabric, which I don't actually mind. It's going to be a headband. Oh my goodness, I can't put that on as well as this. Whew, warm. Okay, sorry, that's gotta go. So yeah, it will be a reversible headband. Which is great for throwing in your ski bag because helmet hair is a real thing and it's not pretty. Yeah, a couple of people asked me on Instagram how I learnt or how I taught myself how to brioche and if I watched any videos. I did. I signed up last year for the Knit Stars seminar. Now there's another one that is going on this year. I've signed up for this one as well. But last year Stephen West was one of the teachers and I watched his video on how to do 2-color brioche and I did it. So it is way less complicated than I thought it was going to be. Especially I think because Stephen West is this like vivacious, gorgeous sweetheart of a human being that and he loves this stitch. So his love and excitement kind of came through and just made me realize that it is only knitting. I have kind of had that epiphany recently and things that I have been scared of, I've just gone meh, I'm going to give it a go. What's the worst that happens? I pull it undone. So my Afterthought heel socks, gave it a go. Snipped the wool. It was liberating. 2-color brioche. Thought it was super complicated because it had those weird burps and blaps and whatever you call them. It's not. Honestly, learn the stitches, take your time, drink a cup of tea or wine, whatever your preference is. But admittedly, I haven't got to the stage where I've like dropped a stitch way down. But I have dropped a stitch and it's come undone for the row or 2 below, and I've been able to pick it up. It's not fast doing repairs, but it is possible if you just pay attention to where the stitches on either side of it, where the threads are going backwards or forwards of the rib. So give it a go. Be brave. It's just knitting. It can be pulled out. It is not meant to be stressful. It is meant to bring us joy. There is enough stress in this world, and I have had more than enough of it in the last little while that I've decided that there is no place for it in my knitting, and I will not be stressed about things. If I have to frog them, I have to frog them. If I don't like the project at the end, but I know someone who will, I can give it away if I don't want to frog it. And if I mess up a new technique, that's okay, because you have to make some mistakes if you're going to learn new things. So, while I am not brave in my life, I am brave in my knitting, so baby steps. Yeah, that was my first ever brioche. First ever attempt at brioche. I haven't finished it yet because I got sidetracked by my second attempt at brioche. Are you ready? It's living in here. So this is my, yeah, I learnt to brioche with Fringe Supply Co. field bags. This is my original one. This is my blue one. I love them both, and they're both full of squishy brioche. So, the next brioche pattern that I, sorry, I'm looking for a skein of wool that I know is around here somewhere, that I did. I wanted to do something simple for my first shawl, and I must admit I'm kind of regretting it because, like I said, I don't find basic brioche that difficult, and so it's getting a bit repetitive, which is fine. Luckily, I love the way the project is turning out, but I'm kind of ready for a bit more of a challenge. But anyway, there's time. So, by Miss Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, I present to you the Marley Shawl. I have a slight obsession with this lady. She designs beautiful patterns. Beautiful patterns. And like I said, they're really well written. She gets them tested and they're like on point. So, did you see it? I'm going to show you the wool first though. So, lovely Amber of Maker's Haven. If you don't know who she is, you need to meet this lady. She is a beautiful soul. She has a podcast and an Etsy store, and no, she's not on Etsy, sorry. She has a website, but she's an indie dyer, and she makes stitch markers and progress keepers, but she's just a really lovely human being. And she held a giveaway on her Instagram, and I won. And the prompt for the giveaway was, what will you do with the skeins if you win? And I said, I want to learn 2-color brioche, so if I win, I'm going to cast on a Marley shawl and learn how to 2-color brioche. So I did. This is the color I won. I've shown it before, but it's Wild and Free. And it's on her simple sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I dyed up this, which is my silver colorway, in also on an 80-20 sock, superwash merino nylon blend. So, green and silver. Any Slytherins out there? I'm not a Slytherin, but I love these colors. And these two are making my Marley Shawl. Sorry, I'm not sure why there's so many tags hanging up. Isn't it lovely? So this obviously is the green side. This is my main side. And then the silver, which is down the back. Oh my. I can't even explain to you. Like, it's so squishy. It's so squishy. I love it. I love the way the increases run and make this like leaf tree pattern. It's just beautiful. Now I'm knitting this on 2.5mm needles, which I know is really small. The pattern, sorry, let me look it up. The pattern calls for, sorry, they're being really loud upstairs. 3.5 and 3.75. Yeah, so it calls for a 3.5mm needle, and I'm using a 2.5mm needle. That's because I didn't want to, I know brioche can stretch out from hearing other people talk about it, and I really didn't want this to stretch out too much, and I'm used to using tiny needle sizes because my gauge is just so big. Like, it's not sloppy loose. I think it looks neat still, but I'm just conscious that I have to use smaller needles to get the fabric I like, which doesn't bother me at all. I have tried to knit tighter so I can use the correct needles, but I find it really hard on my hands and my wrists get really tired, so it's easier to work on tiny needles than to work on the bigger needles and kind of struggle through. So yeah, this is my Marley Shawl. So these are on my ChiaoGoo Twist Minis, which, sorry, I didn't mention that's also what I've been knitting my socks on. So yes, every pair of socks that I showed you today, I knit on these needles as well. It's a lie. I'm telling you fibs. My mum's rainbow, man, I'm a mess. The ones that were knit out of this ball, they're right in front of me. I'm so good at podcasting. Sorry. Okay, these socks here, these were knit on Addy lace circulars. Also 2mm, also on an 80cm cable. That's my preference in cable. But I did get the ChiaoGoo Twist Mini set. This is how they come, and they are, as far as I know, they're the only small size interchangeable set. So they run from 1.5mm, so US 000, to a 2.5mm, which is a US 1.5. They come in this little sleeve. So 2mm in my socks, 2.5s in my Marley Shawl. Then the cables, which I'm sure you've heard everybody wax lyrical about them. They are amazing cables. They're so light, they're so bendy, yet don't kink. I cannot recommend them enough. I know it's an expensive investment, but I also know that you can buy them individually. So you don't have to buy the whole set. You can buy a tip and some cables and see if you like it. Or if you have any ChiaoGoo tips already, you can buy an adapter, which I don't know, I haven't done this, but if you wanted to give the cable a go, you could adapt the larger screw, kind of connection, there is an adapter to go from the larger size needles, which traditionally go with the larger, heavier weight cables, and you can convert that to being with the lighter cables. So something that is worth thinking about. Then it also comes with this little pouch, which has a little heart silicone grip, and then some stitch markers and what do you call them? The ends that you put on the cables if you have to put things on hold. Cable connectors, end stoppers, tightening keys, stitch markers, rubber grip. Okay, it says it on the back, that's what it comes with. And also a needle gauge with a ruler on it. So, like I said, I'm sure you've heard many people talk about them, but I really am enjoying knitting with those needles. So that is my shawl that I'm working on at the moment, my Marley shawl. I have found that the repeats are quite easy and self-explanatory once you get into the rhythm of it. However, I do write down, not on my pattern. I like to keep my patterns quite neat and clean, but in all my project bags I have these little notebooks. I have 3 of these at the moment. I think I got them for $1.50 when I was on holiday somewhere, and they all have different flowers and things on them. But I write the name of the pattern, I mean, it's pretty messy. Name of the pattern, who it's by, the date I started, needles I'm using, and the wool I'm using. And then depending on what the pattern is, sometimes, so this one I also, this one I did my Greta sweater as well. This was Caleb's colorwork yoke sweater, and so that had a whole bunch of stuff. I got my Find Your Fade in here, which, you know, depending on the style of the pattern and what I need, I change up my notes, you know, whatever I'm doing. For this one, I made a little grid, and so I literally have a tick for every row. Here's an empty grid because I still have a whole page left, and then any little notes that I might need to decode my grid. And then I make sure that if it says at any point, you know, don't do these rows or whatever, that I block them out. So when I get to a point where I'm like this, where I can just keep working on the pattern because I know what I'm meant to do and when, I don't need to carry around the whole pattern. I've got just this little book which is easier to fit in a project bag, and that has kind of what I need to know to keep going. Yeah, I don't know. I know everyone is individual. I do have one of those clicky row counters, which actually when I started on this project I was using. I love it. It's so satisfying to click at the end of a row. You're like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done again. One more. Sorry, I'm a child. So sometimes I do use the row counter, but because of the brioche where you have to knit every row twice, so there's kind of a part A and a part B to every row, the clicking doesn't really work, because when do you click? Do you click when you've done the first pass or the second pass? And if I was, you know, when I first started, I was like, well, I'm not that confident yet. What if I click at the end of the first pass and then suddenly I'm starting the second row but I haven't finished the second pass of the first row? I hope I'm not rambling too much, but what I'm saying is there are different methods for keeping track of your projects depending on what type of project it is, what mood you're in, and just what works for you. So those are 2 of the methods I use. If you guys have any awesome keeping track of pattern ideas, I'd love to hear what you do to keep on top of your patterns. I know sometimes, especially with patterns that are written out, it can be quite difficult to keep track of where you're up to and exactly what you've done. I'm quite a visual person, so I find charts much easier to, you know, I can look at a chart and then I can look at my knitting and I can read one from the other, what's meant to be going on. But when it's so many words, sometimes it becomes difficult. Okay, sorry, that was a lot of talking. What else do I have to show you? I think oh, I have something else to show you. And then I'll show you what I'm planning on casting on. So, this jumper. Shall I show you? I think I recorded something the other day about this. It's huge. Now, I knew it was going to be big, but I think the neckline is a little too sloppy for what I want. And like just a little too boat necked. I can actually get it off my shoulders. And I do want it wide, but I don't want it to fall off. So, this is my giant jumper. But as you can see, the neckline is super wide. I did yarn over increases at the raglan, so that would be a feature. But yeah, I think I want the neckline to be about from here to here, not all the way out here. So as you can see, I've got a fair bit of it done, which is annoying, but there's no point in having it if I'm not going to wear it. So I'm going to pull it out and start again. This is attempt number 2. So this is a super bulky jumper, which I'm just making up the pattern to. I'm knitting it in Queen Bee by Outlaw. It's 100% New Zealand wool. This color is called Marilyn. And there are 67 meters in each 200 gram hank. So it's going to be so cozy and just fun and completely over the top, and I love it. So like I said, I'm making it up. First time I knit it, the neck band was too wide and the body was too wide, so I pulled it out. I separated for the sleeves and I made it kind of to my waist. My natural waist, not my hips, my waist. And pulled it out. This time, so I'm going top down and I'm doing a double yarn over for the increase and just dropping one of the yarn overs, so I get this really accentuated eyelet raglan. So I've separated for the sleeves. I've knit, I think I want another inch or 2 in length, but I knit the whole body, and I've knit a whole sleeve right down to the cuff, and I've tied little bits of wool to where I've increased, because I don't actually have any progress keepers that are big enough to go around this wool. It's super bulky. I'm knitting it on 15mm circular needles. However, these arms are too wide, just because of how bulky the wool is. I feel like it needs to be tighter on my arm, or it's kind of, you can't actually put your arms down properly. It's a bit uncomfortable to wear. So I'm going to pull it out again. Like I said, I'm trying to be more adventurous, and in doing that, I'm realizing that sometimes I'm going to have to frog things. And I really like this wool, and I really want to wear this jumper, and it's getting so much closer to the finished project I want it to be. The first time I knit it, I did a single yarn over for the eyelet increases, and they weren't quite big enough. So this time I did a double. I possibly don't even have to rip out the body, because the body sits quite nicely, but I am going to definitely have to rip out this sleeve and work out how to come back and decrease quickly without having it look like it suddenly goes from bulky to around my arm, which I may not be able to do. I may have to pull back further than that. Like I said, I'm okay with that because I really want to wear this jumper. I feel like it's going to be so cozy and so warm. But yeah, those are my things. That is what I've been working on. One more. It's not a what I've been working on, it's a grand plans for the future. Oh, sorry, I'm like ducking down here. So like I said, last year I signed up for Knit Stars, and Stephen West was one of the tutors, instructors, teachers, whatever, people who did videos and taught me things. And he did a variation of his Askews Me Shawl. And so he did it in brioche and in garter. So this is the picture. I'm gonna knit it and I'm very excited. So I have been hoarding this wool for almost a year, I'd say. I love it. I bought it, it's Hedgehog Fibres in the Monet colorway. And it is just divine. It is so beautiful. Now my nana, my mum's mum, was a watercolor painter. Beautiful, like so talented. She used to do these huge pieces where she'd paint watercolor onto silk and then she'd come through and she'd embroider embellishments over the top and do these magnificent landscapes. My parents have one that have this gorgeous like farmhouse and a lavender field in the front, and anyway, they're magnificent. And so Monet was a big inspiration for her, and she really liked his work. So anyway, this wool really reminds me of my nana. So I want it close to my face and close to my heart, and I wanted the perfect project for it. And I think I found it because I'm going to pair it with some white merino with, I don't know if you can see, it's got silver stellina through it. So it's just super delicate, but the two of them together come out like, oh my gosh, gorgeous. So this is my teeny tiny itty bitty baby swatch. I did some brioche and then I was just playing at the top, but can you see? Doesn't it look lovely? And then this is the white side. I love it. It's so subtle and light, and I only bought one skein. The store I bought it from only had one skein. And this color in particular, I've done a little bit of research into it thinking maybe I'll get another one, but it varies drastically from, you know, dye lot to dye lot, for want of a better word. It is hand dyed, and so I completely get how it, you know, how that happens. But this one is, some of them are very, very blue for larger sections, whereas this one is more heavily like speckled. Anyway, so I've been looking for a project that only requires one skein, and then I could use it with something plain. I really want this to be the focus. So I don't think you can get more plain than white. I mean, it does have sparkle, but I wanted it to be a bit, you know, pretty and magical. So yeah, this is going to be my Askews Me Shawl in Brioche and Garter by Stephen West. That's my next cast on, and I really want to cast it on, but I'm being a good girl and I'm going to finish my Marley Shawl first. Not only because I want to use the needles that are in there, but because I should. And I really want to wear it. So those are all my knitting things. My basket is empty. Whoa. I think I heard a whole bunch of children. We're going to take a short break and I will come back when there are not stampeding children upstairs. Okay, welcome back. My 5 minutes turned into 2 hours or so. And there are still a couple of people upstairs, so I'm sorry if there is a bang or two, but it is nothing like the stampede that was here earlier. However, I am going to lose light soon. So I would like to finish chatting with you before that happens, so I can actually get this podcast uploaded. So like I said at the beginning of this podcast, so like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I know it has been a while since my last episode. Lots has happened. We've moved house again. The start of winter happened, so skiing has become part of our lives again, which is awesome. And life has just been busy and stressful, and podcasting just wasn't something that I felt like doing. I don't know about you, but when I am making something or putting something out into the world, whether I'm cooking or I'm knitting or I'm podcasting or anything, I feel like what's going on inside me comes out into whatever I'm making. Like, I truly believe that your baked goods know if you're in a bad mood when you're cooking them, and you can taste it. Just like when you're knitting something and you're in a bad headspace, your tension will change, or I don't know, you'll make silly mistakes, or something will go wrong. I felt the same way about podcasting. I didn't want to put the kind of negative energy that I had going on this last little while into a podcast. I didn't want to put that out into the world because I really appreciate the time that you spend with me, and I want this to be a happy place, because while I am currently looking at a camera, I know that there are people on the other side of YouTube who I'm getting to interact with, and I don't want to inflict my bad mood on you, so thank you for being patient and waiting, and I'm so glad that I decided to record today and that I get to chat to you again, because it is really great fun, and I love hearing from you all. So thank you for sticking around. I can hear more and more people walking in, so I think it's kind of the end of the day, and it's gonna get loud again. There's night skiing on tonight as well, so people will just take a little break and have a snack and then go back out there. But yeah, like I said, thank you for sticking with me, and please feel free to give me a thumbs up or subscribe or any of that good stuff, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy knitting, and I hope you are having a marvelous day. Bye.